it's a moment in UK history where the IRA and the conflict in Northern Ireland is on the news all the time, non-stop, and bombing campaigns in London are happening. And the sort of media obsession with violence is really like pretty grim. And I think we wanted to put people in a situation where they would have an experience of violence. And one of the things we thought about a lot is if a serial killer like Ted Bundy was in a cell with someone who was in the IRA who had killed someone, do they share something in common, or are they just completely different? Tape measures as a theme sort of come up quite a lot in the work, because it's about this sort of sense of sort of measuring or getting a handle on sort of forensics. But one of the themes all the way through the work is about moving the audience around and destabilizing people. So as soon as the crowd are looking in one direction, something happened behind them or in between them, or something to move them out of the position that they're in. So you're never stable as a member of the audience. I think it's the moment at which we discovered that you can create a kind of productive instability in an audience. You can bring people into a situation and then you can destabilize them in terms of, what am I watching? What is this? Is this theatre? Is this performance? Is this an event? How am I supposed to sort of process this? You put people into a position where they're uncertain about what's happening, and that in itself is an opening up of ideas. It creates a space of possibility.
I think that was as much about that being an exciting thing to do, but also being destabilised by the idea of killing.
A lot of the work was around the media construction of killing and violence that would interconnect with these wider ideas about violence that would lead them to really think about how they responded at that moment. It's why the moment with the paintball gun is so critical, because it's a moment where there is an actual ethical decision going on in that room around violence, to try and use that as a key for people to think about, should I have stopped that? Should I have stepped in front and said, no, don't shoot? What does it mean that I allowed that to take place, that shot was fired and that person did get hit and they were hurt? So that connection between the real event and the broader ideas about violence is what we were hoping to establish.
Our understanding of violence and aggression and murder is collective. We might have the idea to make that work. We don't have the answers. We know this much, you know this much, you know this bit, I know that bit. And I think that's partly about us and the audience. It's like, we're not going to tell you what to think. We don't have this expectation of what you're going to take away. But we feel like, as a group in this room at the moment, we're trying to make sense of this all together. But I'm an artist who makes a shape in which people experience things which collectively we try to make sense of.
We were thinking about how theatre and live performance survives in an age of digital media, and we were really kind of sickened and depressed by going to West End shows and feeling like this sort of a celebrity culture where they're doing the same thing day in, day out. So we were like, where is that moment where live performance has such a vivid, compelling presence that you had to be there? And there is something that you're going to come out and talk about as a result of being there. And at the same time, that's not an anti-technology or an anti-electronic and digital media narrative. We wanted to incorporate those things. So that sense of using computers and projections right from early on, right from that first show, that was really important. We were like, there are ways in which computers can actually augment theatre and create theatre in a new way.
It started in Gunmaker 3 really profoundly.
What things did you learn from making and touring the first show that you still think are important today?
The issue of whether theatre can find a language is a real problem. I still feel like it's to do with the spaces in which theatre takes place. The buildings of theatre, for me, are deathly. They absorb everything and turn it into a certain form and structure to do with rows of seats and ticket sales. And that in itself is such an inhibition. And in the UK, we've still got this real idea that that's what theatres are, and that's the buildings need the money. And it's like there are so many great theatre artists and performance makers, live artists, all across those disciplines who've got great ideas about what they want to make. And the buildings aren't really appropriate for it and don't really create a shape where you can connect an audience. Where is the vivid live moment in a digital world? How can you create something that has both of those elements and that creates that kind of vivid live experience in a digital platform. I still feel we're wrestling with that. You look at the works we've made in the last few years: Spitspread's Death, The Parade, Bloody Minded, My One Demand. We made ourselves over. They're still really, the same obsessions are still there.